9 nights, 9 forms, 9 divine powers. Do you know the story behind each avatar of the Mother Goddess? Most people celebrate Navratri. They fast, they dance, they worship, but very few know why the goddess took 9 different forms, what each form represents, and how each one carries a life lesson that is just as powerful today as it was thousands of years ago. This is the complete story of the Navdurga, the 9 divine forms of goddess Durga. The first form is Shailaputri, the daughter of the mountain. The name says it all. Shaila means mountain, and Putri means daughter. She is the reborn form of Sati, the wife of Lord Shiva, who had burned herself alive in her father Daksha's sacrificial fire. After Sati destroyed herself, she was reborn as Parvati, the daughter of the mountain king Himavan, the personification of the Himalayan mountains. Shailaputri rides a bull named Nandi. She carries a trident in one hand and a lotus in the other. The trident represents the power to destroy evil, and the lotus represents purity and beauty that can bloom even in muddy waters. She is worshipped on the first day of Navratri. She represents the starting point of the spiritual journey. Just like a mountain is the foundation of the earth, Shailaputri is the foundation of all divine feminine energy. The lesson here is clear. Every great journey begins with a strong foundation. Before you can reach the heights, you must first be rooted in strength. The second form is Brahmacharini, the one who practices devotion. After being born as Parvati, the goddess had one goal, to marry Lord Shiva again. But Shiva was deep in meditation, completely withdrawn from the world after Sati's death. He had no interest in marriage or worldly affairs, so Parvati did something extraordinary. She performed thousands of years of intense penance. She gave up food, water, shelter, and comfort. She meditated in the harshest conditions, burning heat, freezing cold, torrential rain. She survived on nothing but leaves, then just air, and finally, nothing at all. Her devotion was so intense that it shook the 3 worlds. Brahmacharini is shown walking barefoot, carrying a water pot and a prayer bead rosary. She wears simple white clothes. There is no gold, no jewelry, no luxury. She represents pure, undiluted determination. She is worshipped on the second day of Navratri. Her message is that nothing worth having comes easily. If you truly want something, whether it is spiritual growth, a life goal, or even love, you must be willing to endure hardship for it. Patience and persistence are the greatest powers. The third form is Chandrakanta, the one with the moon bell. After Brahmacharini's penance melted Shiva's heart, he agreed to marry Parvati. On the day of the wedding, Shiva arrived at Himavan's palace in his true form, covered in ash, wearing animal skins, with snakes around his neck, surrounded by ghosts and ghouls. Parvati's mother fainted at the sight. But Parvati calmly asked Shiva to appear in his most beautiful divine form. And he did. He transformed into the most radiant being anyone had ever seen. After their marriage, Parvati wore a half-moon on her forehead in the shape of a bell, a symbol of her union with Shiva. Chandrakanta rides a tiger, has 10 arms carrying various weapons, and her third eye is always open and ready. She is both beautiful and fierce. She represents the balance between grace and power. She is worshipped on the 3rd day of Navratri. Her lesson is that true strength is not about being aggressive all the time. It is about being peaceful when possible and fierce when necessary. She teaches courage, the readiness to fight evil without hesitation. The 4th form is Kushmanda, the creator of the universe. This is where the Navdurga story takes a cosmic turn. Kushmanda is the form of the goddess who created the entire universe. Before anything existed, no sun, no moon, no stars, no earth, there was only darkness. And it was Kushmanda who smiled, and from her divine smile, the universe was born. The name Kushmanda breaks down as Ku, a little, Ushma, warmth or energy, and Anda, cosmic egg. She is the one who created the cosmic egg from which everything emerged. She resides inside the sun, giving it the power to shine and sustain life. Kushmanda has 8 arms carrying weapons, a lotus, a water pot, and a rosary. She also holds a jar of honey, representing the sweetness of existence. She rides a lion. She is worshipped on the 4th day of Navratri. Her message is about creative power. She reminds us that we all have the ability to create, to build, to generate, to bring new things into existence. Whether it is art, knowledge, relationships, or a better world, the power of creation is divine. The fifth form is Skandamata, the mother of Skanda. Skanda is another name for Lord Kartikeya, also known as Murugan, the god of war and the commander of the divine armies. Skandamata is the form of the goddess as a mother, holding her baby son on her lap while sitting on a lotus. After Shiva and Parvati were married, they had a son named Kartikeya. He would grow up to defeat the demon Tarakasura, who could only be killed by Shiva's son. Skandamata represents the power of motherhood, the fierce, protective, nurturing energy that a mother channels for her child. She has 4 arms, 2 holding lotuses, 1 in a blessing posture, and 1 holding baby Skanda. She is worshipped on the 5th day of Navratri. Her lesson is about love and protection. A mother's love is the most powerful force in nature. It asks for nothing in return. It protects without conditions. Skandamata reminds us that at the core of the fierce goddess is a tender, loving mother who will move heaven and earth for those she loves. The 6th form is Katyayani, the warrior goddess. This is one of the most important forms of the goddess. Katyayani was born from the collective rage of the gods against the demon Mahishasura, who had conquered heaven and was tormenting the entire creation. The sage Katyayana performed intense penance, praying for the goddess to be born as his daughter. The goddess honored his devotion and took birth in his ashram. She was raised by Katyayana, which is why she is called Katyayani. She rides a magnificent lion. She has 4 arms carrying a sword and a lotus, with 2 hands in gestures of protection and blessing. She represents righteous anger, the fury that rises not from ego, but from a deep sense of justice. She is worshipped on the 6th day of Navratri. Her lesson is that sometimes you must fight. Silence in the face of injustice is not peace. It is cowardice. Katyayani teaches us to stand up against oppression, to raise our voice against wrong, and to use our power to protect the powerless. The 7th form is Kalratri, the dark night of death. This is the most terrifying form of the Navdurga. Kalratri has dark black skin, wild hair that flies in all directions, 3 fiery red eyes, and a necklace of lightning. She breathes fire. She rides a donkey. She looks like the end of the world itself. But her right hands are in the gestures of protection and blessing. Even in her most fearsome form, she is still the protector. Kalratri is the destroyer of ignorance and darkness. Her darkness is not evil. It is the darkness of the void before creation, the darkness of the womb before birth, the darkness that contains all possibilities. She destroys the demons of fear, doubt, and negativity. She is worshipped on the 7th day of Navratri, the most intense night of the festival. Her lesson is that you must face your darkest fears. Growth does not happen in comfort zones. Transformation happens when you stare into the abyss and refuse to look away. Kalratri gives the courage to face the darkness within yourself. The 8th form is Mahagauri, the extremely white one. After the intense darkness of Kalratri comes the pure radiance of Mahagauri. The story goes that when Parvati performed her thousands of years of penance to win Shiva's love, her skin became dark and rough from exposure to the elements. After Shiva accepted her, he bathed her with the holy waters of the Ganga, and her skin became radiantly white as the moon, as white as jasmine flowers. Mahagauri represents purity achieved through hard work and sacrifice. She rides a white bull, wears white clothes, and radiates a calm, serene glow. She has 4 arms, carrying a trident, a drum, and 2 hands in blessing postures. She is worshipped on the 8th day of Navratri. Her lesson is about transformation and purification. No matter how dark your past has been, no matter what you have been through, you can always emerge pure and radiant. Suffering is not permanent. It is the fire that purifies gold. Mahagauri is proof that beauty can emerge from the hardest trials. The 9th and final form is Siddhidatri, the giver of supernatural powers. Siddhidatri is the complete form of the goddess, possessing and bestowing all 8 siddhis, the supernatural powers described in Hindu philosophy. These are Anima, becoming tiny, Mahima, becoming enormous, Garima, becoming heavy, Lakhima, becoming weightless, Prapti, obtaining anything desired, Prakamya, irresistible will, Ishitva, supreme lordship, and Vashitva, power over all beings. She sits on a lotus, has 4 arms carrying a mace, a discus, a lotus, and a conch shell. She is surrounded by Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and Devas, all of them worshipping her. Even Lord Shiva received his powers from Siddhidatri. In fact, it is said that Shiva worshipped Siddhidatri, and she granted him the power that made him Shiva, the supreme being. She is worshipped on the 9th day of Navratri. Her lesson is about completeness and fulfillment. After the entire journey, from the foundational strength of Shailaputri, through the darkness of Kailratri and the purification of Mahagauri, you arrive at Siddhidatri, who represents the ultimate achievement. She is the destination. She is the proof that the spiritual journey has a reward beyond imagination. When you look at all 9 forms together, they tell a complete story. It is the story of the soul's journey from earth to heaven. You start with a foundation, you build discipline, you find courage, you create, you love, you fight for what is right, you face your fears, you emerge purified, and eventually you reach fulfillment. Navratri is not just 9 nights of dancing and fasting, it is 9 nights of transformation. Each night, you focus on the energy of that particular form, you absorb her qualities, learn her lesson, and move one step closer to your highest self. The Navdurga are not 9 different goddesses. They are 9 faces of one supreme energy, the Divine Mother who creates, protects, and transforms the entire universe. And she lives not just in temples and scriptures. She lives in every woman, every mother, every daughter, every sister. That is the power of the Navdurga. That is the real meaning of Navratri.